Like I did. I got up this morning and I walked all the way just to make sure I was here on time.
Make sure in the rain.
In the rain. I got my hood.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Lucy to join us, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the stories we're talking about today. Why not tweet us here in the studio? That's Manchester, using the hashtag #NowWe'reTalking. Or you can text us on 07548 200 007 and start your message with the word talk. Now, RAF Tornado jets have carried out their first airstrikes against a self-styled Islamic State in Syria, the Ministry of Defence has confirmed. 4 Tornadoes from RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus took part in the operation soon after MPs approved bombing last night. Described as successful, the strikes hit the IS-controlled Omar oil fields in eastern Syria. But the Prime Minister, David Cameron, said that the campaign would take time and that we're going to need to be patient and persistent. MPs overwhelmingly backed UK military action against IS, also known as Daesh, in Syria by 397 votes to 223 after a 10-hour Commons debate yesterday. The Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, said that the MOD would be assessing the damage done by the bombing later, but the aim of the strike was to make a real blow on the oil and revenue which Daesh depends. Steve, do you think it was right for the UK Parliament to authorise airstrikes against IS?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Tony Benn was looking down at his son, I think he would have been very proud of Hilary Benn. Because, of course, what's going to happen is we've got these magic missiles which are going to zoom in on ISIS and it's going to kill them all overnight. And no civilian casualties are going to be killed at all. They're all going to be fine. And after maybe a week or something, ISIS or Daesh or whatever we want to have to call them now, are going to put their hands up and go, we're really sorry and we won't do it again. And then the war will be over and Britain will be much safer and everyone's going to be really happy. So it's brilliant what they're doing.
We all know that isn't going to happen, though, don't we, Steve? You know, quite a lot of people are worried about the amount of civilian casualties by you know, us doing airstrikes on Syria.
Well, it's unavoidable, isn't it? I mean, what are these new missiles they've got? They've shown them and they cost a fortune, and apparently they're going to be really, really precise. But people are still going to get killed, aren't they? Innocent people are still going to get killed. I mean, it's a non-debate. I think lots of people in this country don't understand why it's happening. I don't know what the percentages were if most people in this country were for it or against it. I'm not quite sure. I think
it's kind of split opinion, hasn't it?
Yeah, completely.
We'll
yeah,
get onto that in a moment.
Yeah, well, it's obviously going to be a complete disaster. I don't think no one knows what the end game is. There's other things that they could have done, like cut off the funding. Is it Turkey that's buying the oil off ISIS? They could have done lots of other things, and instead it's
more
bombing.
economic sanctions rather than military action.
Yeah, it is. I mean, people said yesterday it's gesture politics.
Do you think we've kind of been led into this now? So this is another war that we've kind of been led in. We started off with the war on terror, Iraq, Afghanistan. That's 12 years ago now, and some people say that this is still the fallout from what happened 12 years ago. You know, there's still unrest in the Middle East because of our actions when we went into Afghanistan and Iraq. Are we being led into the war again by maybe some of our other allies, France, for example, the United States?
I think it's a continuation of the same thing, isn't it? I mean, when Blair voted to bomb Iraq and we went into Iraq, there wasn't an exit plan there. It left a vacuum. So all these other fighters got together, and that's how Daesh was created. So I think obviously there's a relationship between Iraq then and Syria now. So I mean, maybe. Well, of course it's not over, is it? It wasn't over then, and it's not over now. So they are kind of interlinked.
We kind of left, didn't we? We left Iraq and left Afghanistan.
Just went in, bombed it.
We said that, well, we'd be there, we'd try and rebuild these countries. And then we were there for such a period of time, we thought, actually, we'll come out now. That they seem to be okay, they can look after themselves.
Yeah, and of course
that's not been the case.
No, and it was great for the American contractors who went in, wasn't it? And they could put security in and build all the buildings and things. So people obviously profited from the war as well. So I think there's a very strong. It's an economic war, isn't it? That's why they went into Iraq, and like we said, I think the continuation is it's going into Syria as well.
What kind of implications does a airstrike now by the UK. What kind of implications does that have now on us ourselves? Are we more of a target for IS?
Well, I think Cameron was quite clever yesterday, because his argument was, regardless of what we do, if we don't bomb them, they're still going to attack us anyway. And I think that was quite a canny move for Cameron to say that. But I think it's going to make the situation worse. I mean, I was reading something when they were bombing Iraq 15 years ago, and the article was saying what you're going to have is children who are going to see their fathers dying, and those children are going to grow up to be teenagers, and they're going to want revenge, and that's kind of what's happening. And this is what's going to happen in Syria as well. It's just going to go on and on and on.
It is. Well, we're back home. There was protests in Westminster last night.
That helped.
Well, indeed it was. Yes. So the obviously it's divided society. Do you think? Why do you think that, people feel so strongly now about these? About this vote and this war in particular?
Well, it's really simple. You've got two sorts of people. You've got people who are stupid and people who aren't. And the people who are stupid, if they just fall into this knee-jerk gung-ho reaction, we need to stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies. It's just revenge, isn't it? And I think people are, maybe they've got that gung-ho. Maybe they just think, if revenge works, if we attack them back, then it will solve the problem. But history's, especially recent history, has shown us that's not the case. So I think you've got two sorts of people, really. People who think, yes, we should, stand shoulder to shoulder with France and the States and the other countries that are bombing them. But then you've got other people who are saying, well, what is it actually going to achieve?
What's it about, and that kind of thing. Yeah. I think more people seem to have, they have access to more information, don't they, now, whereas 12 years ago, when we were going into Afghanistan and Iraq, there was... Yes, it was a retaliation for a terror attack in the United States, as this is a retaliation from a terror attack in France. But I think people weren't really clued up about the kind of the kind of area and the politics and the history behind the Middle East back then. I think now though they seem to have more information and they can make an informed decision about it.
Yeah, I mean, because there was lots of debate, wasn't there, 15 years ago, and lots of people were saying to Tony Blair, if you do this, then this is what is going to happen, and that's been kind of played out. So I think people are wiser now. I think maybe I think there has been more maybe public opposition to the war than there was before, because they, like you said, they've got more access to information, and also they can look back over the last 15 years and see the consequences of that bad decision that was made then. Yeah,
definitely. I want to touch a little bit about the threat again, and the threat on the UK. On us, if you like, now that we've gone into a so-called war against IS in Syria, and that is about these people who are being becoming extremists. They're being radicalised by the Islamic State, and they're homegrown, so they're people who are here in the UK who are being radicalised. It's not about, closing the borders, making sure that there's no threat. The enemy could be walking amongst us.
Yeah. I mean, this is the wrong phrase, but I was quite glad a couple of weeks ago when it was the Paris attacks that it was only one person, I think, who actually sneaked in through Greece. All the others were kind of homegrown. And I was a bit worried that there might be a right-wing narrative that says we can't have any more migrants because it's just going to be terrorism by the back door. And I think there's been some right-wing media that's trying to push that, but it's not been borne out. It hasn't been borne out in France. It wasn't borne out in 7/7. The enemy isn't from outside. The enemy is going to be from within.
And that kind of changes the war completely, doesn't it?
Yeah, why go to Syria?
Whereas when
go to Nottingham.
Exactly. We should. It'd be hard to identify who the threats are here in the UK. I know there is intelligence going on by monitoring of internet usage and that kind of thing. But when the enemy isn't another country invading or something like that, then it changes the whole shape of a war, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I think one of the problems is that we were told that the intelligence services have foiled 7 terrorist attacks within the past 12 months in England. But I think the problem is, obviously, we don't have access to that information. We don't know what the intelligence services do. I mean, you would like to think that if there is even people operating in the dark web, whatever, that the intelligence services are kind of monitoring it. But I don't even know how long that can go on for either. You know, is there going to be some? Are they monitoring everyone all the time?
Exactly. The threat. There is a real threat, isn't there? But I think that we're kind of naive to think that there is a threat, and we think that all the activity is going to go on over in Syria. Yeah. You know, that this war is going to be fought on foreign ground, if you like, and we kind of neglect the fact that something like the Paris attacks could happen here in the UK, possibly before Christmas. Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's. I mean, we've been told before, haven't we, that being really kind of conspiratorial about it. Wars can be created, so we're all scared, so we're a lot more obedient, and so when the government say we need to increase your surveillance, we just kind of go, oh, okay, you're doing it for the greater good. There might be an element of that going on as well. Yeah. We're told that they foil, you know,
but we don't know.
But we don't know. Yeah, it's just
We'll leave it there, Steve, and we'll take a quick break now, but when we come back, we'll be talking about a scheme to protect our borders and why it's been abandoned by MPs. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Hello, you're watching Now We're Talking with me, Paul Davis.
And with myself, Mark Duffy.
How are you?
Great to be back here on this glorious sofa again.
You're looking fabulous, as always, Lucy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you agree.
Anyway, we're going to have to stop it there.
Yeah. You're wearing, is that Karen Miller?
Yes.
Incredible.
Oh, yes, justice. All right.
Have you ever wondered where your favourite movies were shot and what happened on set? Find out using Global Movie Trails. Global Movie Trails gets you out on location, acting as your personal tour guide. The app guides you around actual film locations and gives you the inside track on production secrets. Explore the movie locations, answer fun questions, and uncover the drama behind the scenes. Global Movie Trails. Walk the movie. Wait! Excuse me.
London's only 2.5 hours away, so treat yourself to a weekend in one of the world's 2 great theatre districts. At West End Plus, we've got great value tickets on all the big West End shows, and city breaks where you can book your tickets, travel, hotel and restaurants all in one place at fantastic prices. There are even discounts on some of London's best loved attractions. Book your break in London with westendplus.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking. I'm Mark Duffy, and I'm joined on the sofa today by the comedian Steve Straw and the entertainer Lucy Lush. You've managed to get here, Lucy.
I have. I rushed here. I couldn't miss out on seeing you, Mark.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know, I mean, it's the highlight of my week.
It certainly is. Well, we're glad that you've come and joined us. We're taking a look at some of the top trending news stories online, including how the TV game show Crystal Maze is set to become an amusement attraction. There's more on that later in the show. But first, the Home Office has been criticised for failing to complete a project to boost UK border security, despite spending at least £830 million on it. The e-border scheme was meant to collect and analyse data on everyone travelling to and from the UK before they arrive at ports and airports. But the Office of National Statistics